what are the few things they can do to improve their fertility without feeling like completely overwhelmed?
I think tell someone. I know it's old school, but a problem shared is a problem halved. When I went on my fertility journey, I didn't tell anybody, apart from my mother-in-law. I didn't tell anybody. It was so isolating, awful. Also, don't put your life on hold because it can become, we can't book a holiday. What happens if I'm pregnant? We can't do the extension. What happens if we need the money for the next round of IVF? Still trying to hold on to your life is so important.
Liberty, thank you so much for joining us. I know all three of us had a few tech problems, didn't we, today? But you got to love it. 2025, and we're all still struggling to connect.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us. I've lost count on the episode, that number that we're on now. But thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to talk to you. Layla's been through a fertility journey, so have I. I feel like most women have of some sort, haven't they? But to kickstart, could you just give us a little lowdown? Who are you? What do you do?
Who am I and what do I do? What do I do is a big one. So I'm Liberty Mills. I am a nutrition coach and I primarily focus on fertility for women and men, and especially unexplained fertility. So when they say, everything's fine, don't know, it's just that's how it is for some people. That's not really a diagnosis, is it? So that's when people have been through maybe a number of rounds of IVF or IUI and it's still not happening. And then they come to me, or they don't want to do that journey, or they've done it a couple of years ago and it wasn't for them. And they say, I still want to have a child or another child. What can I do? So that's what I do. I've been doing it for nearly 6 years and I love it.
I was just going to say, this feels like really purpose driven. This feels like
I know. I'm like this. I'm on a mission.
It feels like nitty gritty.
I am on a mission. I'm on so many missions. I don't want to be called a geriatric mum. I don't want other people to be called a geriatric mum. I don't want women to be told, and this is a true story, that what do you expect? Of course you're going to have a miscarriage. You're 40. No doctor should be saying that to a woman. Or you're foolish. Why did you do this? Or you will have to use egg donor. These definitive things that are spoken to people who are in quite often a vulnerable position by the powers that be. I think it's terrible. Also, I feel that infertility or fertility, subfertility, fertility struggles are such a taboo still. The amount of people that work with me and they go on to have a baby and I say, oh, can you do a little, anonymous review? I don't, in case someone realizes it's me, which is completely fine. But I feel we find hope and power and strength all in other people's stories. And the amount of people that come to me day in, day out that say, I feel alone. Why is it just me? Everyone else is getting pregnant. Well, they're not.
It does feel like that because I've been through it, but I'd love to hear more about your backstory because we are similar in that we both became mother for the second time for you. But for me, I had my first son at 40 and my second at 42. So I've kind of, when you spoke about geriatric mums and things like that, that really hit a chord with me because it wasn't from want of trying. I did start trying when I was 34. But I'd love to hear more about your fertility journey and your second child and the challenges you faced with that, because I think that's a really inspiring story and I think people would love to hear more.
So I met my partner, I think I was like 41, about to turn 42. I think we met like the week before I turned 42. So he was like, oh, you just keep aging. Which wasn't funny, like the year later when we were trying for a child. Even this morning, my little girl, she's 5 now, she had a little tiff with her daddy. She was like, you're a mean daddy. I said, daddy's a really good daddy. And mummy waited 20 years to find a good daddy. The doors were open and I said, mummy had many boyfriends. And Ben was like, I don't think all the neighbors want to hear about your love life. I said, but none of them were good. They were lovely people, but none of them were good enough to be your daddy. Because I wanted a certain type of person, and he is that person. And so, off we trotted, went to the GP. I've told this story many, many times. And she was a lovely GP, and she literally went like this.
No.
Yeah, and then she put her glasses back down on, looked at her notes and went, "You do know how old you are, don't you?"
Wow.
And I was like, "Yeah, but you were born in 1974." And I said, "Yeah, I know." She said, "Well, it's not going to happen naturally. And you're going to have IVF." Like, she was just like almost like, is this woman like crazy? Like, what is she on about? And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, can I still have some tests?" Well, you shouldn't really get them on the NHS, but I feel for you. I'm in a similar position. I'm going through this journey. I met someone later on in life and wanted to extend my family. So these are the tests I suggest you have. And then she was really kind, wrote down an IVF clinic just off Harley Street and said, "Go see them. And you'll probably have to have egg donor." So I was like, "Oh, okay." Went along, had my test, booked the IVF clinic, paid our money, it was a lot of money, paid money for my partner to have his sperm tested, extra tested. So he'd had that done with the GP, but they don't test the DNA fragmentation. So we had to pay an extra £500 for that. Came back, they were like, "Oh, it's okay for your age." And still gets to me. The male doctor said to me, "Well, your right ovary is empty. You're barren in there." Use the word barren.
Wow.
Very
What
much.
a word.
I'm paying for this service. You're barren, and on the other side, you only have 4 viable follicles. So I was like, "Okay, like, and like, what's next?" I'm always quite an optimist person. I was like, and they were like, "We'll have to have egg donor. That's it. You're gonna have to go to Spain, have egg donor. We've got many clinics over there." And I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, cool." My partner was not okay, right, cool. He literally went in a huge slump. He actually ended up on antidepressants about it because he felt very conflicted. And I have that with a number of clients. And I explained to him about epigenetics. I really understood it. I sent him podcasts, peer reviewed studies. But still, we had counseling over it. Still, no, he wanted it to be my baby, like as in Liberty's. And I was like, "Okay." I said, "Well, can't really improve the number of eggs. It is what it is. But I can improve the quality. Maybe we go off." I was studying to be a integrative nutrition coach. I'd been shadowing some functional medicine doctors. And I said, "I can lower my inflammation. We can do acupuncture. I'll change the way I work out." I was super sporty. I was like, "I'll even start eating chicken." Because I was a pescatarian. I was like, "I'll get on bone broth. That's meant to be good for you. Come on, let's do this together. You quit alcohol. Let's just, and then we'll go back in 3 to 4 months and see if they'll take our money." And in that time, I fell pregnant. But yeah, you go like, "Oh," because of the negativity and what society has told us. Even when I got a positive pregnancy test, and like many people, we did 2, we did 3. You got all the sticks. It was in our ensuite bathroom. We sat on the floor and we both cried, not with happiness, but out of loss, because we both looked at each other, "Yeah, well, we shouldn't get excited because I'll probably miscarry at my age."
Oh, I really felt that. Yeah.
So that, I feel, was robbed from me. I really, really do.
Well, that's the
Because of what
narrative.
society tells you.
Yeah. Well, that's the narrative around fertility when you're over 35. I've heard so many times, and it scares the life out of you, that your fertility falls off a cliff when you turn 35, which actually isn't true. Because when I was
women coming to me saying, "But my birthday is in like 2 months. It's all going to change." And I'm like, it's not going to change in like 2 months.
No.
Yeah, the amount of friends that I've got that are literally saying to me, like, Chloe, I don't know if I want kids, but I'm aware my clock's ticking. And I'm like, mate, you're 32. Chill. You're actually, like, as long as you look after yourself, you probably are going to be fine. I think, like, so I got pregnant when I was pre-30, but I had really irregular cycles from having hypothalamic amenorrhea. And I was the same when I did that pregnancy test and got the positive. There wasn't really much excitement. It was just like, okay, let's see if my body will hold on to it. Do I tell Tom? What do I just keep this? Because I don't know if my body's even going to be able to hold on to it. So from you mentioned one of our questions was actually what inspired you to transition from patient to practitioner, but I feel like we know why. Like
I was on and I'm still on this mission. Like my eldest daughter says, "Mommy, is all you ever talk about? Like, do you not have anything else going on in your life? I really don't care." Like, no, I don't.
This is why we want this podcast, isn't it, Layla? Like, we want to connect with people, like female founders that are on this mission, that are like so like driven with like so much force. So if there's some people that are on this journey, what are some of the subtle signs that our bodies could be giving us? So like you mentioned about, you could change the way you exercised or you did acupuncture and things like that. But what are some of the signs that our bodies are telling us, hey, your hormonal health or maybe your fertility just needs attention?
Sleep quality. Often it's the basics. People come to me and they're saying, by week 3, because I do 12-week programs, often we might go on for 5 months or something like that. And they say, when can I start taking some vitamins? What pill? Can't I just take a pill? Or people message me on Instagram, what pill do I take? Or I've been taking this pregnancy multi-nutrient, but I'm not pregnant. I'm like, okay, well, what's your sleep? Do you go to bed at 1 a.m? No, there's no pill that's going to replicate that. You can't cheat that. So the basics: sleep, hydration, what is the quality of your water, how it is a stressful time, how we're going to deal with that. Because stress depletes magnesium. You need magnesium. Get your basic tests. Your friends that are in their early 30s that are going, oh, what do I need to do? Well, maybe actually it is good that they're freaking out. Go and get your bloods tested because you don't know. What happens if you naturally have really high B vitamins and then you take a prenatal that spikes your B vitamins too high? That's dangerous. So go and get your blood work done. The amount of women that I see where their vitamin D is on the floor, even in hot countries. I have a lot of clients in America, especially a lot in Florida, and I've got a lot in Dubai. It's hot constantly there.
How does vitamin D affect fertility, and what tests do you recommend, or what levels or whatever do you recommend having done?
Tommy's, for where you would go for recurrent miscarriage as well, find all the information there. One of the first tests they say you should have if you have a recurrent miscarriage is vitamin D.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah. So why are we not testing people? Or I know the NHS is, low on funds and they may be reluctant, but you can there is a company out there, I think it's like £35. And why I suggest them is because it's tested within an NHS lab. So you pay for it, it's £35. I think they even send you a free vitamin D afterwards. It comes back with your levels. And then if your levels are not optimum, they suggest the amount that you should take to lift it up. But because it's tested within the NHS, you can then take it to your GP and say, this is what's going on.
Yes, because there's the struggle I've had in the past when going private for my fertility stuff and then going to the GP is that they won't accept your private diagnosis at all.
No, they won't. Whereas this is done within the NHS.
Do you know the name of the company?
Better You.
Better You. Oh, yes.
Better You.
Yes, I've heard of them.
Better You.
I'm even seeing this on the flip side as well with the NHS, is like people that have a certain, like maybe have some symptoms of a hormonal imbalance and want to know what's going on. They go to their doctors and say, hey, can I have my hormones tested? And they're like, why? and then you say, oh, I'm going to take them to someone private, and they're like, no. There's just no, yeah. Whereas actually, if someone's in a position where they're able to afford to go private, surely we should just all be more collaborative together.
Some doctors will, majority of them won't. But, you know, take the power in your own hands and go and spend that £30, because then you can supplement bespoke to you.
And are there any other tests you recommend?
Your thyroid. I don't care. If you're struggling to get pregnant, one of the first tests you should get is your thyroid levels, but also not just your T3, your T4, which is what they do, but your thyroid antibodies as well. Over the past 5 years, especially in the last 3 years, I've been pushing that with clients. I've had ladies that are struggling, you know, they're not sleeping, or they've been told maybe they're perimenopausal because they're getting really hot at night, or they're struggling to shift some belly weight, or they've got brain fog. And I'm like, it's not really adding up. I know many women can go into perimenopausal earlier, but I'm just like, it's not adding up. Please go and get these extra tests. Usually the GP say, no. I have to write a letter saying, please, and these are the old reasons why. And I send them British Medical Journal data of why I think they should be having this. One lady had thyroid cancer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. At least every few months I get hypothyroidism, hypothyroidism, and Graves' disease. One lady was, and she won't mind me sharing because she shared it in my book, things weren't working out. She was eating well, she was losing weight, and it resonated because this happened to me. And I said, I want you to get those supporting thyroid levels checked. Doctor said no, GP said no. She was in a different country. I said, do you have enough money or private health insurance you can see an endocrinologist? She said yes. She called me up. She said, my endocrinologist has signed me off work for 4 weeks. I've got Graves' disease. She said, I can't go into work. It's that bad. There was no way she was going to get pregnant when her thyroid was on the floor like that.
So actually,
also it was her health. It's your health.
Absolutely.
It's not just about fertility. To me, reproductive health is not just about your ovaries and your sperm. It's about your overall health. Why are you a fit, healthy guy, but your sperm is not reflecting what we see on the outside? Something else is on the missing inside. It was the same with me. I also said, I think I've got a thyroid problem. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. I think I've got a thyroid problem. I'm losing loads of weight. I've got a jaw ache. Go to the dentist. The dentist's like, there's nothing wrong with you. I think you might have a thyroid problem. Then they said, and my jaw was that bad. This was while I was on my fertility journey. It was that bad. I was going around with a mouth guard in on the way to work because I couldn't really close my jaw. It was hurting that much. I went to Prague on holiday for 4 days and just cried the whole time. I remember sitting in the hotel crunching ice because my jaw hurt that much while my partner was having breakfast. I was just like, oh. Went, paid for private testing. My thyroid antibodies, because I have a history of autoimmune, which I told them about with my lupus, were 4 times over the level of what they should be. But my T3, T4 was looking normal. I was even accused of having an eating disorder because I was losing so much weight by a GP.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
They said, are you sure you're eating? I said, yeah, but you used to be a model and, you're a bit older now. And I was like, no, I eat.
It's wild, isn't it?
Had to go back with my male partner and say, tell him I eat. Yes, but
you shouldn't have to do. You shouldn't have to do that.
Does she go to the toilet after she has eaten?
No, basically accusing you of being bulimic as well.
Yeah, because I lost nearly 1/2 stone in a week. That's how bad my thyroid was. And no one was listening to me. I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was making it up. I was like, am I eating?
But this stretches across all women's health, I think, when you go to the doctor saying there's something wrong with me and you get turned away multiple times. In the end, you start thinking you're crazy. Because also it's unseen as well. It's unseen pain, or it's things that people can't see from the outside looking in. It's how you feel. It's all subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just given loads of antibiotics saying that you've just got what did he say? A saliva gland infection. And then they even sent me, they said, maybe you've got mouth cancer. So then I'm freaking out thinking, and I had to go on the guy in there did a scan. He was like, you've got a thyroid issue. And they still didn't believe me.
I remember when I lost my period and was going to the doctor, and they were just like, oh,
it happens sometimes.
Yeah, like, well, you're really healthy though. So, and I remember saying to them so clearly, like, do you think I maybe, because I'd done a lot of research myself, I knew I was like a bit obsessive. And I was like, do you think I maybe exercise a bit too much? And they were like, oh no, we always recommend exercising. And I'm like, okay.
I mean, you led in there and they ignored it. So my mission is what everyone has done for the menopause to do for fertility.
I think you're right, because even when I was going through it, and it wasn't that long ago, really, I was focusing on my ovaries and my period. And in the end, it turns out I had a high natural killer cells. So I went to see a recurrent miscarriage specialist and had the steroids and the intralipids and things. And that's how I conceived both of my children, which is completely, the NHS won't even look at that as a treatment option, NK cells. They just think it's a load of rubbish. But thank God I found this amazing doctor. But I think that, having these conversations, women just need to know they need to test all of their hormones. And it's not just about their reproductive organs that are going to get them pregnant. And I've been looking a lot into inflammation and listening to loads of podcasts and, reducing stress. I'd be interested to know what is inflammation in your body and how do you get rid of it?
Inflammation is great because it heals, but it's when you have too much. Like too much of anything is not great, So it's when you have too much, and then it starts, because you can have inflammation in the womb, everywhere within your body. So when your body is trying to look after that and reduce it, it's not going to want to start building another human in your body.
And is it cortisol as well, having cortisol so high?
Yeah, exactly. Also, another basic thing that people can do to look after themselves, anecdotally, I've found with clients, many of my ladies are quite constipated. So if you think, if you're not emptying if what's going in isn't coming out, it's not matching, if the maths isn't matching, you're not absorbing all of the nutrients. Your body's having to fight that gut dysbiosis that you've got. It's not going to be thinking, oh, this is a hospitable place to grow a human. Many women, when I sort that out, their cycle will get better as well. Their ovulation will get better. The number of women, it's crazy that, when I first started my practice, I used to go, oh, are you regular? Because I felt a bit embarrassed. I'm very, very British. And they're like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Now I say, how many times a day do you poo and what does it look like? Then I go all northern on them, and I just had a client recently, and all her life, she's like, oh, but it's normal. I just go every 2-3 days. It's just always what I've done. And I said, just because that's common doesn't mean it's healthy, and it doesn't mean it's supporting your body. I've worked with her for 3 weeks. In the last week, she's gone for a poo twice a day.
Wow, that's a lot.
and literally, well, she's probably got loads of poo backed up from time ago, and her partner's lost half a stone just by tweaking. And if you looked at their diet, you would have thought, it's quite healthy. They're not takeaway. They make most of their food themselves. But I just tweaked a few things up, their hydration. Look at your poo every single day. Remember Gillian McKeith? Look at your poo. I make my 5-year-old look at her poo every day. And I say, what do you think's going on here? Or it's quite sloppy. I need to make sure I do wash my hands after I've been to the toilet. I may need to make sure I need to scrub my nails. It empowers her and gives her a reason. Or, there's some cracks and maybe I need a bit more fat and some fiber. I'll make sure I eat the apple with the skin on.
Well, I have to say, if you want to see a healthy poo, just look at a 5-year-olds, because they've just got a good digestive system, haven't they? They haven't messed it all up with alcohol and all these things that we've got coming to us when we reach our teens and 20s, well, some of us anyway.
Well,
But
also
yeah.
they have in general, not everyone shall say, but kind of a good routine of sleep.
Yeah.
So your body is doing it. That's why you have a poo first in the morning. It's doing its work. So in general, most children, I don't know, like my daughter goes to bed between 7:30, 7, wakes up between 7:30, 7. But if I put her to bed at 9, 10 o'clock, the next day she probably not going to, a poo is going to be all over the place because her cycle's been messed. Whereas we do that all over the shop and then expect our bodies, that circadian rhythm, that's doing a certain thing. But if we say, oh no, basically it's Friday night, I'm going to stay up till 1 in the morning. My geography is terrible, but is that like going to Turkey for the weekend? Then you got to work till Wednesday to get everything back into its rhythm. And then you go to Dubai for the weekend because you stay up into another time zone.
And if someone wanted to, because the thing is, sort of when you look at, right, I'm going to sort my body out, I'm going to sort my food out, I'm going to, start exercise. It's really overwhelming. What are the few things they can do to improve their fertility without feeling like completely overwhelmed?
I think tell someone. I know it's old school, but a problem shared is a problem halved. Taking all of this, like when I went on my fertility journey, I didn't tell anybody, apart from my mother-in-law. I didn't tell anybody. It was so isolating, awful. There was another couple going through it, but they had to go on a different journey of IVF, and so then we weren't on the same journey. I think tell someone, find a friend, have fertility-free, talk-free days, because it can become all encompassing if you're, whatever kind of a couple you're in, or if you're doing it on your own and that's all you talk about to your best friend. I know I said talk about it, but also don't put your life on hold, because it can become, we can't book a holiday. What happens if I'm pregnant? We can't do the extension. What happens if we need the money for the next round of IVF? We I can say yes to that wedding to be a bridesmaid because what if I'm pregnant? Still trying to hold on to your life is so important. Get a sleep schedule. Go back. Your mum knew best. Your mum knew best. And when you became a cocky teenager and thought you knew everything and went to stay up all night, that's when you got your spots. That's when your periods were all over the place. That's when your hair was greasy. Maybe for a reason. Get a sleep schedule. I don't care if it's Friday night or Saturday night. My ovaries, also, I don't care. Some people might go, "Oh, that's a bit woo-woo," but I'm like, I don't care. It really
We're all for the woo-woo.
it does
We
make
love
a
the
difference.
woo-woo.
It does make a difference. Many women and men going through this struggle, and they have a right to, they get a bit angry inside. You get a bit, underneath sorrow is anger, right? And vice versa. But if you're angry with your body, it's not going to be your best friend. If you're angry and tense and you're twisted like that inside, you're going to be tight gut. You're not absorbing all these pills you're popping. You're not sleeping as well. So I think honor your body and eat, if you do have a period, instead of going, oh my God, I had my period. Pants, it didn't happen again. Be like, oh my God, I had my period. This is amazing. I'm still, I'm 51 this year. Every time I have my period now, I'm like, woohoo, still got one.
I'm with you on that
the
one.
other month because I was like, right, I'm in it now. I'm in with you. She's 53. I'm in with you. Then the next month came, I was like, sorry, I'm not in with you. It's come back again. Come back proper. I was like, I must be really stressed. But I have ladies, and we changed the psyche about it. I know I have my book coming out, but there's an amazing book by Dr. Julie Vaughn called Spiritual Fertility. I've only ever read 30 pages of it. And that's all I needed to read, because I just say to my clients, go read this and forgive your body and start to love it again.
Yeah, I worked with a coach, and this was the exact conversation that we had yesterday, but so I work with a business coach, and it's Meg's Layla, and she was talking about how so many of us don't view our bodies as best friends. So we were talking actually in context of like expanding businesses and in expanding yourself. And she said, problem is a lot of females have like the fear of expansion, because we're taught that expansion means weight gain. Expansion means like negativity, and like actually, so we keep ourselves really small.
We keep ourselves small. Step more into the feminine. Many of us now, many women that come and see me, they're very successful within their jobs, and they feel to get to the top, you have to be masculine. You have to work those quick. Like one lady was a lawyer. She was like, I was like, what time to leave work? She was like 8, 9 o'clock. I was like, okay. You told me you earn quite a lot of money. You earn quite a lot of money. She's at the top. She's like partner level. I was like, let's break it down. How many hours do you actually work and the weekend? I was like, you're actually not getting paid a lot for the experience. I said, how many men who are at your level stay to 8, 9 o'clock? No, most of them leave between 6 and half 6. I was like, okay, next week you're going to do that. She's like, I can't. I was like, you can. She did, and she does. She has a better relationship. She's able to go and get a massage or acupuncture. She's sleeping better. She's eating better because she's not getting home and just shoving something in because she's so hungry. She's actually more respected at work and less crap is put on her desk.
Yeah. It's more about like becoming friends with our bodies again, right? And respect them and getting in tune with them. How do you, we ask this sort of question all the time, but I feel like this links in perfectly. How do you personally manage business, hormonal, menstrual cycle?
Ask for help sometimes, at the moment. Yesterday I had a meeting, and the book is coming out.
Oh, yeah, if you want to hear about that.
I have to go and do pickups for the audio. I have to keep going to London. I've got a number of podcast events coming up. Now the publishers are going, oh, but where's your newsletter? I'm like, I've got 26 clients at the moment, and you want me to do a newsletter and Instagram, and then like, but you're not utilizing TikTok, all of that. And yesterday at this meeting, and this woman was like firing all this stuff at me, and I felt like I was going to cry. I said, this is too much for me. I don't understand what you're saying. I'm going to ask one of the other moms that I know is just amazing. I'm going to pay her to come and talk to you. Then she will come and explain it to me in my terms, because I don't understand what you're doing. So I'm asking for help. I can't do everything on my own. That is a big one. The other one is every single morning without fail, I do a meditation. I wake up. I've got them saved, so I don't actually go on my phone. They're already saved. I plug in, I lie there for 15 minutes, and I give myself a hug. I know it sounds really cheesy, but I give myself a hug and I stroke myself and I say, I love you, Liberty. And today's going to be a good day. You're going to do all right. And then I do the 5-minute journal.
Oh, yeah, my partner's got that. He's done that for years. It's great.
I used to do Julia Cameron's Artist Way.
Oh, I've got that. Is that worth doing?
Oh my gosh, it changed my life.
Oh, really? I've got it in the bookshelf.
It's one of those books I had for about 4 years. And I was like,
yeah, me too.
And I got hit with an autoimmune disease diagnosis, and I was really ill. And I was like, I'm going to do this book, see how this book can change my life. I have written a journal every day since, apart from 3 months. So for 20 years. And in those 3 months, I was in a really dark hole. And as soon as I started to journal again, I got out of the hole.
Interesting.
Dr. Cassidy calls it dumping.
Yeah.
You just dump it. Because quite often we wake up and we're like, woulda, coulda, shoulda, got to get the kids out, got to do this, Am I supporting my partner? Have I asked how his day is? All of this. Now, I don't really have time to write 2 pages of A4 like I used to. And I used to write 10 things I was grateful for. Now I just do the 5-minute journal, and it's brilliant. I love it. Highly recommend it.
No, I feel like that's your sign to complete the book.
I know. I think I do, and I've got a 5-minute journal as well, which I need to do.
And you take yourself on an artist date, and it made me when I did that when I was 30. doing silly things like, I remember there's one of them, it says, do something you like to do when you're like 6 years old. And mine was make a den and have peanut butter sandwiches. So I went off to Hampstead Heath, because I used to live in London then, and with some peanut butter sandwiches and went in the bushes and sat there listening to the trees.
Brilliant.
It felt amazing.
Love it. This seems really, feels like the universe is putting conversations into my lap, because this is really similar to what me and my coach spoke about last night as well. But she was like, people often go and do this big inner healing journey and forget about the vibe and forget about the high vibe and forget about having fun and finding the joy and the nourishment in life. And they get so caught down in what they have to do and the deep up healing. And I feel like we can do that with fertility, can't we? We can get so bogged down in, I need to do acupuncture, I need to eat clean, I need to purify my water, I need to do all of this, and forget that actually, look, we're missing out on the point of life, which is to find the beauty in every single day, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
It is hard, having been there for 5 years. It's a spiral, and I think it's, you mentioned before about it being isolating, and I think that's one of the main things that I found, was that all of my friends were having babies and I just kept having miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage, and it just spiraled down.
And quite often then, when it's happened a number of times, I find anecdotally with clients, I've only had 2 miscarriages, that then they become numb to it. They're like, yes, I had a miscarriage, went back to work. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Whoa.
went to meetings. I'd found out that, there was no heartbeat, and I'd had to go to business meetings, and people, I wouldn't obviously tell everybody, but my close colleagues would know, and they'd be like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine."
I have women going for egg retrieval. I'm like, yeah, then I went back that afternoon, went to work. I'm like, what? Got to honor your body. Or they say, yeah, so I'm having to do, I had one lady, she actually lived up here, and I turn people down sometimes. They might think I'm arrogant or whatever, but I'm like, it takes a lot of work and it takes a certain mindset to do what I do, because it's not just about pills. It's about doing a 3-minute dance around the kitchen. It's about taking yourself on a date. It's about womb massage. It's about writing letters to your baby. It's about honoring the babies that you never got to hold. It's about all of that. And where was I even going then? Oh, yeah, this lady came to me, and she was very, very successful business lady. And she lived up here and she worked in London. And so she was on the train like 5 a.m. every morning. I live in Yorkshire. And she worked there 4 days a week. And I said, yeah, maybe you might want to just ask if you can go to London 1 day a week or 1 day every 2 weeks. Save your money for your IVF and just be kind to your body and take some walks and stuff. She did that. I can't believe she did it. I was like, you don't need me. Don't waste your money with me. You don't need me. You just need to change that around. She did that and she fell pregnant naturally. I know people in the science, doctors, that was rubbish. Well, it happened. I gave birth 2 weeks before I was 45. So many of those doctors, I was on the NHS, so many doctors, oh, yeah, so how many rounds of IVF did you have? None. But you must have done because of your age. Well, I didn't.
I really struggle with this. So like when I'm working with girls to try and fuel for exercise and get their periods back after losing all of that I'm constantly battered between the two of like, I am woo-woo, and I generally do believe in leaning into the feminine energy and, nourishing the body and calming your central nervous system. But then so many scientists are like, nah, you can do hard stuff. You just need to eat more carbs and do this. And the science says nothing about the feminine energy. And you're like,
the amount of women that come to me and they're like, their periods are all over the place. And doctors, gynecologists go, well, that's what it's like. Well, no, it's not like that. When I was at my worst with my lupus, I was bleeding for 3 weeks out of 4. 3 weeks out of 4. Well, we'll just try another contraceptive pill. That's not working. I mean, it was literally, I'm surprised I could even stand up.
Well, this is the thing, being given offered the contraceptive pill as well. It's like, no, we need to get to the root of the problem as to why I'm bleeding for 3 weeks every month.
Yeah, there is something wrong with me. And then it transpired I had lupus. But before that, everyone was just try this other pill, try this other pill, try the coil.
wow. Liberty, I'm conscious of keeping you too long, but could you just
I'd like to talk to you all day.
Yeah, literally.
I want to be your friend.
let's just block out the rest of the diaries, and we'll just stay here chatting. Can you tell us a little bit about your book and also your 12-week course? Please.
So my book is out. You can pre-order now. Please pre-order. I've bought, you don't get loads of money for a book, and I've spent most of my money on buying some books because I am going to get on the tube and I'm going to give a few out. And when I come to London, I'm like, do you want to know about fertility? Do you want to know? Oh, well, you might want to read it for your son or your daughter to help them in 10 years' time. Because Professor of Doctor, I don't know, Shauna Swan, she wrote that book. Is it Count Zero or Countdown? And she predicts by 2046 or 2045, majority of people will need assisted fertility. So start reading my book, anyone else's book on fertility now.
And why is that? So that's
because of the decline of sperm.
Oh, okay.
Microplastics as well. There was a study came out last week from Rome University where they found microplastics in follicular fluid.
I heard that.
Microplastics.
That's crazy.
They found it before in testicular fluid, found it in breast milk. All of these are endocrine disruptors. They're messing with your hormones. Bleak,
how do we get rid of them? What do we do? Because we can't
remove and replace. I talk a lot. That's one of the chapters in my book. So my book's called 360 Fertility. It's out now. Please go and get it. Read it with pride. Read it with pride on the bus. Have it on your desk. That might be your opening conversation. Also, I wrote this book not for just people that are going through fertility struggles. I've got a daughter. I've got 2 daughters, but I've got little daughters. The eldest daughter's already had children, so she doesn't need my book. But if you've got teens, start saying to them, how is your period? What's going on? Maybe let's change your deodorant. Maybe let's not get that certain makeup. Maybe get this makeup because it's healthier. The Think Dirty app, the Yucca app, EWG, all great resources. Start educating your children. Or if you are someone and your friend is going through fertility struggles or they just had a miscarriage and you don't know what the heck to say, get them this book.
It's great. And Chloe and I talk about this all the time, the fact that at school you're told consistently how to not fall pregnant, but not told how to fall pregnant. And so when you do run into difficulties, you don't even know where to start. I mean, we were just chatting about before that we had no idea that you had like a 5-day window to fall pregnant. I just thought you could fall pregnant any time of your cycle, A lot
of people don't even know when they're ovulating.
It's really important. It's important for us to look after our menstrual health early on in life, so our fertility is in good shape when we do decide to have a baby. Because ultimately, you have to keep your and also I thought it was interesting that you've done 12-week programs. So it takes 3 months for an egg to ovulate, doesn't it?
Well, no, it's a lot longer than that, actually. It's 13 to 15 months, but the last 120 days to 90 days is where the maturation accelerates.
Okay. So there you go. So it starts at, the health of your egg, goes back a year and a half.
Sperm rejuvenates every 2.5 months as well. So it's very similar. So this book is equally for men. When we were on our fertility journey, there wasn't a lot around for men, and 48% of infertility is a male factor, and within that, it's usually 30% and up is a sole male factor. But majority of the books, majority of the doctors say, oh, well, the woman's going to have this. The woman should have this test. No, men need to get checked for varicocele. Men need to check their folate also. Men need folate for fertility. Men need to check their vitamin D. Men need to check their DNA fragmentation. So it's just also men experience the emotional loss also of a miscarriage or the embryo's not developing. Who's there for them? It's like, if we think we're left out, hung to dry, it's even worse for the men, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. Liberty, thank you so much. I feel like there's going to have to be a part 2. Let's stop. Let me read the book. And then feel like we need to get you back
Yes.
on,
Yeah.
and then we'll do another episode so we can deep dive into the book. How about that? And
I
Layla
would
can
love
do that book. Layla
Oh, I
can
could do the artist's way, and my life has changed, and I don't know what I'll be doing.
See how it changed for you.
Yes.
Hey guys, I think we've just started a new book club.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
That.
Liberty, thank you so much. Can you just tell everyone where they can find you, your Instagram handle, and then we shall.
I'm mills.liberty. I would love to be Liberty Mills, but some psycho man in Buffalo stole my Instagram and wanted me to pay him $1,000. So I'm mills.liberty. My website is Integrative Liberty. And I don't even know what my TikTok is.
That's all right.
So,
We'll find you. I'm sure we'll find you. Liberty, thank you so much. Guys, as usual, please come join our WhatsApp group and follow us at My Overcare, and we shall see you in the next episode.